A ship prefix is a combination of letters, usually abbreviations, used in front of the name of a civilian or naval ship. Prefixes for civilian vessels may either identify the type of propulsion, such as PS for paddle steamer, or purpose, such as RV for research vessel. Civilian prefixes are often used inconsistently, and frequently not at all. Sometimes a slash is used to separate the letters, as in MS. Naval prefixes came into use as abbreviations for longer titles, such as His, Her Majesty's ship in the British Royal Navy, abbreviated HMS, and then HMS. Earlier uses often included the type of vessel, as for instance, USF, for frigates of the United States Navy, that were eliminated by President Theodore Roosevelt's Executive Order of 1907, making United States ship the standard for the Navy's commissioned ships while in commission. In the United States Navy, that prefix officially only applies while the ship is in active commission, with only the name used before or after a period of commission, and for all vessels in service rather than commissioned status. Today the common practice is to use a single prefix for all warships of a nation's navy, and other prefixes for auxiliaries and ships of allied services, such as Coast Guards. The use of ship prefixes is not universal. In particular, neither the German Kriegsmarine nor the Imperial Japanese Navy used ship prefixes. Some English-language writers use prefixes like DKM and HIJMS or IJN for consistency with HMS and US. Other writers follow the practice of the Navy and omit any prefix. From the 20th century onwards, most navies identify ships by hull numbers, identification codes typically painted on the side of the ship. Each navy has its own system. The United States Navy uses hull classification symbols, and the Royal Navy and other navies of Europe and the Commonwealth use pennant numbers. These tables list both current and historical prefixes known to have been used. Generic prefixes, national or military prefixes. Prefix conventions. The designations for United Kingdom ships applied at the time of the British Empire, before the establishment of separate navies for the Dominions. In the Royal Netherlands Navy, HNLMS is the prefix in English, a translation of the Dutch original our, ms or ZR, ms. Our ms should preferably not be used in English-language documents. Nevertheless, it is often seen on the World Wide Web. Until the moment a Dutch naval ship officially enters active service in the fleet, the ship's name is used without the prefix. Since King Willem Alexander succeeded Queen Beatrix on the 30th of April 2013, our ms is replaced by ZR, ms. In Australia, the prefix NUSHIP is used to denote ships that have yet to be commissioned into the fleet. In the United States, all prefixes other than US, USNS, USNV, and USRC were made obsolete in 1901 when President Theodore Roosevelt issued an executive order fixing American naval nomenclature. USRC was replaced by USCGC when the Revenue Cutter Service merged with the United States Life-Saving Service to become the United States Coast Guard. In 1915, USLHT also was replaced by USCGC when the United States Lighthouse Service became a part of the U.S. Coast Guard in 1939. USCNAMP-GS was replaced by NOAAS when the United States Coast and Geodetic Survey merged with other U.S. government scientific agencies to form the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in 1970. A United States Navy ship that is not in active commission does not hold the title of United States ship, with simply the name without prefix used. Before and after commissioned service. Vessels, such as yard and harbor craft that are not commissioned and in service, are officially referred to by name or hull number without prefix. Military Sea Lift Command civilian manned ships in service are given the prefix United States Naval Ship. Prior to commissioning, ships may be described as a pre-commissioning unit, a PCU. For example, the uncommissioned Gerald R. Ford has been described as the pre-commissioning unit Gerald R. Ford. However, the vessel's official name is Gerald R. Ford without any prefix, and will be known as US Gerald R. Ford once commissioned. When it is stricken from the fleet list, a ship typically has the prefix X added to its name, to distinguish it from any active ships bearing the same name. For example, after US Constellation was retired in 2003, she became referred to as X Constellation. Note that while calling a U.S. ship the US flat top may make grammatical sense, the preliminary article the is discouraged by nearly all style guides, and the U.S. Navy. The U.S. Navy uses ship names without article, except for us the Sullivans, named for the 5 Sullivan brothers, all lost at sea during World War II. Its British equivalent is also discouraged, since the Her Majesty's ship would be grammatically incorrect. Yugoslavia War Navy had strict naming rules and ship's prefix that was driven by order by President of Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia in 1969. After dissolution of Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, new state Federal Republic of Yugoslavia continued same naming convention for War Navy of Yugoslavia Armed Forces from 1992 to 2003. Empire ship prefix. In 1939, then, during and after the Second World War, the British Ministry of Shipping adopted a standard naming system whereby all merchant ships ordered to be built in Britain to government account, except very small ship types, would be given the prefix Empire to the name. This applied to ships acquired through purchase, requisition, or taken in prize, with some exceptions. It also applied to older ships acquired from the USA, modern ships acquired on lease, lend arrangements, salved and refitted ships, and captured enemy ships. Empire ships were ships built or acquired to supplement the wartime merchant fleet. They were used for convoy duties, transporting supplies and military convoy work for the war effort. In science fiction, fictional equivalents of tri-letter prefixes frequently appear in English-language science fiction works, applied to seafaring and space-borne ships alike. See also Space Navy for similar adoption of naval customs for fictional spacefaring military organizations. Star Trek: The United Federation of Planets uses the prefix US for its starships, while Gene Roddenberry never defined what the abbreviation stood for. Some speculate that it means United Spaceship or United Starship. In the alternate mirror universe, the Terran Empire use an ISS prefix instead. Other races use different prefixes for the ships. Klingons use IKS or IKC. Romulan vessels typically receive the prefix IRW or RIS, where some speculate that it means Romulan Imperial Ship and CHR. Babylon 5. The Earth Alliance uses the prefix EAS for Earth Alliance Ship. Some fan material also uses it for Earth Alliance Station. Firefly vessels in the Union of Allied Planets fleet are given the prefix IAV for Interstellar Alliance vessel. The Terran Confederation, from Wing Commander, uses TCS for its vessels. Halo United Nations Space Command spacecraft use the prefix UNSC. Mass Effect features several prefixes, primarily SSV for Systems Alliance Space Vehicle and MSV for Merchant Space Vehicle. used on numerous human commercial ships, as well as PFS for a Turian hierarchy naval craft, and a freighter AML Demeter of unknown affiliation. Dead Space USG, standing for United Spacefaring Guild, which oversees civilian spacecraft operation, including the Planet Cracker-class leader USG Ishimura of the Concordance Extraction Corporation USM for the Earth Defense Force of EarthGov, and CMS for its former opponents, the Sovereign Colonies Armed Forces. The Moon is a harsh mistress. The Federated Nations used FNS, presumably meaning Federated Nations Ship. The Lost Fleet. The Alliance used the prefix ASN for Allied Systems Navy. The Syndicate worlds do not use prefixes. Condominium vessels use the prefix CDs for condominium ship. Omniverse. The Matacoran Kingdom uses HMS as a prefix. The Graysons used GNS, and the Havenite ships used PNS, being reflections of actual ship prefixing traditions, and mirroring the Napoleonic Wars. The culture ships are identified by a three-letter prefix denoting class followed by the personal name. The Expanse ships of the United Nations Navy use the prefix UNN, while ships of the Mars Congressional Republic Navy are prefixed with MCRN.